Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Berkeley County Board of Education meeting this Tuesday, December 11th, 2018. I call this meeting to order. I declare a quorum is present and the media has been notified. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make the motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Mr. Wright to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting on November 13th, 2018.
I make the motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Ms. Conder, to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on November 13th, 2018. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion by Reverend Spann, a second by Mr. Ramsey to enter into executive session. The stated purpose of executive session is to discuss a contractual matter, reinvestment services, the discussion of pending employment matters to include the appointment of an administrator, 4 student attendance appeals, and 11 expulsion appeals. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're in executive session. Now entertain a motion to return to regular session.
Made the motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Reverend Spann to return to regular session. I'd like to state for the minutes that no action was taken in executive session. Is there any further discussion? Would like to apologize. We have 2 meetings worth of stuff in one night, so we're running a little behind. I apologize to the people who are waiting. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're in regular session. Please now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item 4, Legacy Builders and Special Recognition. Ms. Katie Orvin-Tanner.
Good evening, Chair Rawford, Superintendent Ingram, members of the board, and all of you who have joined us tonight. I have the wonderful opportunity to recognize our legacy builders for our only meeting of December. So first, I will begin with Mr. Noah Ward from Philip Simmons High School. In just its 2nd year of existence, Philip Simmons has a state championship for their trophy case. Noah Ward, Philip Simmons High sophomore, ran a personal best time of 15:40:38 at the South Carolina State Cross Country Meet to claim the 2018 Individual Class 1A-2A state title. The team from a school that is yet to welcome its first senior class overall finished 4th, and each member of the team also finished the state meet with a personal best, making it an even more memorable day for the Philip Simmons Iron Horses. But congratulations to our state champion, Mr. Noah Ward. And I know that Noah has some supporters here, so if y'all could join us.
Principal, coach,
Mom, yep.
Gotcha. job. Nice job, Noah.
Y'all, this hurt.
Want me to do it? I'll manage. I'm a basketball guy from North Carolina, so this is.
Congratulations, Noah. I know your school is very proud of you for bringing them their first state championship. All right, for our final recognition, in the spring of 2018, Clemson University added a new ED program targeting future educational leaders across South Carolina. The Education Systems Improvement Science Program is a blended learning doctoral program with both online classes and on-site classes held at the Zucker Center in North Charleston. The inaugural class consists of students from Charleston County, Greenville County, Colleton County, and the largest representatives from Berkeley County School District with 8 students. Mr. Willis Sanders with Berkeley Electric Cooperative has graciously donated his signature artwork, the Clemson Tiger, which Miss Wofford loves.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful artwork.
Yes, it's burning her Gamecock hands. And Mr. Willis Sanders has joined us tonight, along with Dr. Reginald Wilkerson, who is the program lead for Clemson's new program. If y'all could come up with us. And so with them, it is my great pleasure to recognize the following distinguished teachers, district staff, assistant principals, and principals as they embark on their doctoral program in this inaugural program. I don't think everyone's here with us, but we'll go ahead and read everyone. Miss Dara Harrop, she's our principal at Marrington Middle School. Miss Melissa LaBerge is our principal of Cane Bay Elementary School. Miss Natasha Wright, our Human Resource Coordinator. Mr. Takara Hart, our BCSD Evaluator. Mr. Michael Timko, Assistant Principal at Timberland High School. Mr. Ray Gould, a teacher at Cane Bay High School. Miss Kimberly Platt, a teacher at Cane Bay Middle. And Miss Valerie Rose, a teacher at Mount Holly Elementary. Congratulations.
She waited for you to hold hers. And the Gamecock through and through. I just can't help it.
Yes, I am a Gamecock. That's right.
All eyes on me. She just can't do it. 1, 2, 3.
It is beautiful art.
We'll all do great. Thank you.
Congratulations, and we wish you all the best of luck. That concludes our Legacy Builders for December and for the year. Thank you.
Thank you so much for waiting patiently for the board. It's always exciting to get to celebrate the great things that are going on in Berkeley County School District. But if you came just to be honored tonight, now is a great time to go do something more fun than a school board meeting. Feel free to go. Thank you for attending, and congratulations on your accomplishments. We'll now move on to agenda item 5A, citizens' comments. There are no citizen comments for tonight. We'll now move on to agenda item 6A, actions as required from executive session.
Madam Chairman,
Ms. Conder.
I make a motion to accept the recommendation of the administration to approve that formal complaint and report of the breach of contract for 2 teachers to be sent to the State Board of Education to ask that appropriate action be taken against the employees for unprofessional conduct as discussed during executive session.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. Ramsey. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Mr. Ramsey.
Madam Chairwoman, I make the motion to approve the adjustments to the organizational structure and a 2% retroactive to July the 1st, 2018 increase for all employees, including Dr. Ingram, as discussed in executive session.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey and a second by Wofford. I might steal some of Dr. Ingram's thunder. We have made a lot of rules. We have done a lot of work financially, and our employees have bared the brunt of doing that work, which is going to increase our fund balance. But we don't want to put that money in the bank. We want to put that money in our employees' pockets. So we are very excited for a 2% pay increase, which will make the total pay increase this year 3%. It's going to go back to July 1st, which we're very excited for. Thank you, Ms. Smith, for all the hard financial work. Thank you to this board for keeping their nose down, but especially thanks to Dr. Ingram and the employees who've really worked hard at following all the paperwork for the travel request and going that extra mile and cutting everything down and just going to bare bones. You're the ones who put the money in the bank, and so we're really grateful. We hope that we will be able to continue with even more pay raises next year, but hopefully this will jumpstart our pay raises for our employees. Dr. Ingram?
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Wofford, I want to humbly thank the board on the behalf of all of the employees. It is no small feat of this Board of Education to show the fortitude and the resolve to make difficult decisions. And I've often said, you know, my job was, I wasn't here during some of the really uncomfortable stuff. And this board has taken a lot of criticism, a lot of hits, and in my view, unnecessarily, but I commend them for being strong to make difficult decisions and do the things that needed to be done to right a lot of wrongs. And they promised from day one that if, when we could start to right our financial ship, that they would reward the employees in turn. And that's no small task. So I personally want to thank the board. I want to thank every employee in here, regardless of what your role is, from a teacher to administrator to support staff person to cabinet level, anyone in central services. I personally appreciate it as well, though it was certainly not expected. But I thank you for that. I would rather that all of our employees be taken care of first. I think that's the mark of good leadership, but I do thank you for that. But I don't want anyone in this audience to underestimate the gargantuan task that this board has faced just, I guess, 18, 19 months ago, a couple years ago. It's been an arduous task. It's not over, but we can certainly see many better days ahead. So I want to, on behalf of all the employees, I want to thank you. It is really unusual to agree to raise pay in mid-year and then make it retroactive to the beginning of the year. That's a strong move. Thank you on the behalf of all of our employees.
I'd like to add a comment if I could.
Yes, Ms. Condor.
I've watched this district over the past year and the people that are employed here. And I'm sorry I'm getting a little choked up, but when I say this, that it's no thanks to us. It's thanks to the district. It's thanks to the faculty, the staff, the cabinet. And I look out here and I see the dedication, and that's what it takes. And I see the dedication that you all have for the children in this district. And that's what's important, is our children and educating them and working hard for them. And that's the biggest reason why I ran for the school board, is because I do care. And when I look out there and I see all the caring people who are employed by this school district, it just warms my heart, and it does choke me up. And I just feel like I wish we could do more. I wish 2% was just the tip of the iceberg, and hopefully it will be. But y'all are the ones that do the hard work. We're the ones that have to make tough decisions, and we try to do our best to recognize your hard work. And I really thank you from the bottom of my heart because I have a grandchild in this district, and that means a lot to me and to her. So thank you. And thank you, Dr. Ingram.
Oh, thank you. Pleasure's mine. Great folks.
Any additional comments? We were hoping it was going to get paid before Christmas, but it's not coming in the next paycheck, but it will be in January, right? It will be paid in January. So your January paycheck will be retroactive, and then you'll see the 2% increase ongoing throughout the rest of the year. So we are very grateful. We cannot express it enough. 2% is not enough, but it makes me feel better that with that 1% that felt so measly at the beginning of the year, it's a quality 3% raise, and just the beginning of where we will continue to put our money where our mouth is and focus on the very good employees at the school district. So no other comments. We'll call the question. All in favor? The motion is to approve the adjustments to the organizational structure and a 2% retroactive to July 1st, 2018 increase for all employees, including Dr. Ingram, as discussed in executive session. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it was seconded. Ramsey, Walford, second. So all opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Congratulations. We'll now move on to student attendance appeals. We'll start with attendance appeals. I'll now entertain student number 1.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the appeal for student number 1.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. Ramsey to approve the appeal of student number 1. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. Students 2 and 3 will be heard together.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the attendance appeal, students number 2 and 3.
Second.
There's a motion by Reverend Spann, a second by Mr. Wright, to deny the appeal of students number 2 and 3. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion fails. Is there a motion, another motion for students 2 and 3?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the appeal for students number 2 and 3.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Ms. Kelly, to approve the appeal of students 2 and 3. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 4.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeal of student number 4.
Second.
There's a motion by Reverend Spann, a second by Mr. Wright, to deny the appeal of student number 4. All in favor, any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
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 That is not enough votes. All right, we're going to vote by raising hands. Opposed? Ayes. Motion fails. Is there another motion for student number 4?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the appeal, student number 4.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Ms. Kelly, to approve the appeal of student number 4. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Now we'll move on to expulsion appeals. Student number 1.
Madam Chairman, I move that we deny the appeal for student number 1.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. Ramsey, to deny the appeal of student number 1. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Nay. All right, we're going to have to raise hands, all the ayes for denying the appeal. Opposed to denying the appeal. Motion fails. Is there another motion for student number 1?
Madam Chair, I move that we recommend student number 1 to go to the alternative school.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Wright, a second by Reverend Spann to assign student number 1 to the alternative school. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? The ayes have it. Student number 2.
Madam Chairman, I move that we allow student number 2 to attend alternative school.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. Ramsey to assign student number 2 to the alternative school. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Student number 3.
Madam Chairman, I move that we deny the appeal for student number 3.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. Ramsey to deny the appeal of student number 3. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 4.
Madam Chair, I move that we allow student number 4 to go to the alternative school.
Second.
There's a motion by Reverend Spann, a second by Mr. Ramsey to assign student number 4 to alternative school. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Student number 5.
Madam Chairman, I move that we allow student number 5 to attend alternative school.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Reverend Spann to assign student number 5 to the alternative school. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Student number 6.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve student number 6 to attend alternative school.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Reverend Spann to assign student number 6 to the alternative school. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Student number 7.
Madam Chair, I move that we assign student number 7 to the alternative school.
Second.
There's a motion by Reverend Spann, a second by Mr. Ramsey to assign student number 7 to the alternative school. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. I move that we assign student number 8 to virtual school.
Second.
There's a motion by Wofford, a second by Spann to assign student number 8 to the to virtual school. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. I'm sorry. Student number 9 has been handled. You just tickled me, Ms. Conder. I'm sorry. Student number 9 has been handled administratively. We're on to student number 10.
Madam Chair, I move that we assign student number 10 to alternative school.
Second.
There's a motion by Reverend Spann, a second by Mr. Ramsey to assign student number 10 to the alternative school. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Student number 11 has been handled administratively. Wow. That's the hardest work we do. Trying to decide what's good for kids. All right. We're going to move on now to the superintendent's report. Dr. Ingram.
Thank you, Chair. Chairman Wofford, Chairwoman Wofford, and board members and members of the audience. First, I'd like to recognize members of the Teacher Forum who are here tonight. If you would stand and be recognized, Ms. Sarah Meeks, Sangaree Intermediate. Sarah, thank you for coming. Kathy White, Sangaree Elementary. Diva Stevens, Sangaree Middle. Brittany Begain, Hanahan Middle. I hope I got that right. Did I get that last name? Did I? Good. Andrew Miller, Marrington Middle. We just renamed a school, didn't even know it. Okay, thank you, Andrew. And of course, we have Emily and Nick here with us, supporting us. Thank you for being here. My remarks tonight focus on the recent release of the state report card. I'm proud of our schools that fared well by the standards set forth by the state. I'm equally proud of our schools that were dinged by measures I find incomprehensible and virtually impossible to effectively communicate to our parents. Make no mistake, I have faith in our schools. I have faith in our kids. I have faith in our teachers. I have faith in our principals. I have faith in our support staff and central services. Administrators and school board members who work so hard to educate our kids despite what our detractors say. I only have time tonight to point out a few flaws in the current system. First, state accountability was based on norm-referenced scores. In other words, 10% of our students in schools were doomed to be rated below average or unsatisfactory before any child bubbled in the first answer or made the first mouse click on an answer choice on one of the standardized memorization tests. So, if Miss Wofford is in one of her engineering classes at Carolina and 2 of her classmates make a 90 while 18 others make 91 or higher, then the 2 students making only 90 would be failing. That is a major premise of the logic of this model. Really? The second is that student growth is measured against growth of all students in all schools. I disagree. Students should be measured against their own rate of improvement, not compared to improvement of other students whose parents may have the means to provide private tutors or give their children rich experiences outside of school. This results largely in accountability by zip code. Also, it makes it much harder for already high-achieving kids to demonstrate growth on tests. Have you ever watched a kid in the 99th percentile stress over trying to get even better on these things? I have. The third is that we receive no item analysis on these tests. Assuming that the tests report the knowledge, skills, and dispositions that children need to be successful in their futures, and I seriously question that, and it is a topic for a future discussion, we don't know what we got wrong on the tests. Is it unreasonable to ask what we got wrong so we would work to remediate these deficiencies? When I asked that question of a respected colleague, she replied, "We didn't have the money for it." Finally, the tool used to measure this growth that we talk about is a tool called EVOS, which is a statistical metric developed by psychometrician Bill Sanders. I had the privilege of having lunch with Dr. Sanders about 12 years ago. He was quick to point out that teaching is too complex to evaluate solely on EVOS. In part, he said it is just one small piece of evidence for the complex process of teaching. Also, the premise of EVOS, as with any statistical measure, requires consistent use over at least 3 years. How many times have we changed the test in the last 3 years? Even if applied consistently, EVOS can only predict what a student will probably score on the next standardized measure if taught well. It cannot give us any specific content feedback for improvement except to try harder. Sadly, Dr. Sanders passed away a couple of years ago, but based on our conversation, I highly doubt he would approve of the weight given to his metric that he developed. I don't believe the state's aim is to drive teachers and principals out of our profession, but if it were, this would be a step in that direction. We think there's a better way. Our colleagues in Charleston and Dorchester counties are pooling our talent to develop what we believe will demonstrate more accurately what and how our schools are doing. And we don't want to stop at graduation. We want to follow our kids on their journey after they graduate. After all, isn't that what we want for our youth? We want them to be self-sufficient, productive, and happy citizens. And we want to be able to tell everyone the role we played in helping our kids get there. I believe in our schools. I believe in our teachers. I believe in our kids. I believe in our principals. I believe in our school board. I believe in everyone that works in this district. And I am speaking, I'm sure I speak for other superintendents in this state, that we are incensed over this report card. We congratulate those who did well on the report card, but it simply doesn't give us enough information in how those metrics were derived. So those that were dinged, don't worry about it. The score on a test does not measure the success of what you do every day for kids. So, Madam Chair and board members, that concludes my report for the evening.
And I would like to say your school board concurs. It was within hours of this coming out, I had someone contact me and say, "Is this how you view my school?" And it isn't. That school's report card is not how I view that school. So we fully and wholeheartedly support the superintendent's assessment of their assessment. It's poor at best. And we are thankful we did have some schools that did well, but we certainly are not disappointed in the educational experience of the schools that, quote, got dinged. We're doing great things, and we're going to continue to push forward to do great things in Berkeley County School District. For the board chair report, I'd like to thank Mr. Ramsey for attending the School Board Association Legislative Conference and voting our votes. We very much appreciate that. And on a personal note, this means something to some folks here. Miss Virginia C. passed away today at 94 years old. She taught for Berkeley County School District for 41 years and was a wonderful, wonderful educator. She taught my Lane Wofford in the 4th grade, and then she quit, so maybe it was Lane's fault that she did not teach school anymore, but she was a wonderful, wonderful educator, a staple in the Monks Corner community, and a big part of this family. So condolences to the C family. But 94 wonderful, wonderful years. So she retired in 1988. So she has also had many happy years of retirement. So condolences to Miss C's family. Agenda item 9A, temporary committee assignments. There are no temporary committee assignments because we have quorum present. I'll now entertain a motion to recess for committee meetings.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion by Reverend Spann, a second by Ms. Conder to recess for committee meetings. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. We'll now move on to committee meetings. Up first is academics and innovation. Ms. Conder.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I am calling the Committee on Academics and Innovation to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present, and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The first agenda item is the Head Start Budget Expenditures Report for October 2018 and Head Start Credit Card Report for October 2018. Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept the report.
Okay, and I will second that. Is there any discussion? If not, we'll call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those who are opposed respond by saying nay. The motion is approved. Second agenda item is the teacher forum update. Dr. O'Gorman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Ms. Conder, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ingram. It's my pleasure to introduce, I don't have my glasses on, y'all. Can you tell me which one it is? There we go. Thank you. I guessed. Emily Reichbach is our 2018 Teacher of the Year. She works with Mr. Snyder closely on Teacher Forum. She'll be our Teacher Forum Chair next year. This is her first formal presentation to the board, so please help me welcome Miss Emily to the front.
We don't have these in my, that's cool. All right, good evening. I'm Dr. Ingram, Madam Chair, and members of the board. I just want to take a minute first and say I got teary-eyed too when y'all were talking about the raise too. That's very appreciated, and teachers love to be recognized, and I think that's a great, step in that direction. So I definitely got teary-eyed with you also, Ms. Condor. So I'm just going to give an update on what Teacher Forum has been up to so far this fall. We meet once a month, and something that we had over the summer was a 2-day retreat, and we met with a business panel of local leaders in Berkeley County, which we had great feedback from other Teacher Forum members. We discussed with the local business leaders what they were looking for when they were hiring, and not really to our surprise, I think, for most in this room, they really discussed those soft skills that we talk about. And it was great to just kind of hear that from, another audience and another outlet that, we're on the right track and we're focusing on some really important things about communication and collaboration and teamwork and everything. So we had a very great 2-day retreat in the summer. We are on our way for the February conference coming up. We have a lot of initiatives to support our first-year teachers. We had Pride Shopping in October, and there's just a statistic there, which is going to come up later on, but 22% of our first-year teachers left during or at the end of last school year, which is, definitely really hurting our current teacher shortage. So we try our best to support our first-year teachers, and our Pride Shopping is a great event. All teachers across the district, they donate brand new or gently used materials, and then first-year teachers will come to their Pride meeting and they get to take shopping bags full home of tons of stuff to decorate their room or to support their instruction. So it's really great, and it's not something I've heard repeated in any other district in the state too. So I think that's a really good way that we're supporting our first-year teachers. We also focus on teacher recognition. We have Be the One Teacher program, and in the spring we're going to be recognizing a teacher at each school other than the Selected Teacher of the Year. And we're also using social media, and we're trying to really encourage that this school year to really use our teacher voice and to recognize all the educators in our district. And here's just 2 screenshots from the social media we have so far. We have a Twitter and an Instagram, and it's been going really well. It's kind of hard to keep up with it, but we have a lot of educators already that are trying to share their things that they're doing with their students in their classrooms. So it's a great way for them to connect with other educators. And it's just kind of interesting because as a teacher, it's kind of isolating. You're in your own room. You don't know what's going on even next door or down the hallway. So we've had really good feedback on the sharing of ideas and the amazing things that are going on across the district that some teachers just weren't aware of beforehand. For the conference this year, we are switching it up, and we are going to be doing elementary sessions in the morning and middle and high school presentations in the afternoon, and have an expo in that break in between to help with transportation. And we also were hoping this was going to be a way to help with some of that, the lost work days that we had because of the weather. And so far we've had good feedback. Teachers, they definitely have a lot of work. Those work days were really helpful for them. So we're hoping that this day in February will kind of help them catch up and, finally sit down with their team and not feel as rushed. In November, I went to the South Carolina Teacher Forum Conference, and 3 big takeaways from that were we're obviously in a teacher shortage, so we talked a lot about how we can fix that and how can we effectively advocate for our profession. And so it was definitely a brainstorming sessions, no answers, but it was good to really talk about advocacy and see it in a new light and realize that, you have to know who your audience is, who it is that you need to talk to that actually can, elicit the change that you're wanting. Mandy Manning, the National Teacher of the Year, came to speak with us, and she has an incredibly inspiring story. She teaches refugee students in Washington, and her speech was so much about just relationships and focusing on listening to your students and getting to know them. And so her instruction, I'm sure, is amazing, but she talked about how her priority when students walk into her room is getting to know that student and building that relationship with them that will take them throughout the rest of the school year. And last, we had Molly Spearman come the last day, and she talked about her 3 initiatives and recommendations for January 2019. First was teacher support, and she discussed mental health and having mental health counselors in each school. which we all, we wanted it, and she was surprised at how few of us had raised our hands when we said we don't have mental health counselors in all of our schools. So that was something that she was hoping to get into schools in the next few years. Teacher retention, she is going to be proposing a 5% salary increase and discuss improving the loan forgiveness that we currently have, since it hasn't changed in a long time, and just recruiting teachers from the state and also out of state to get some more teachers into our state. And the last one was for district funding, mostly for smaller school districts, just sharing services as a way to save money across the board. But overall, it was very energizing, and I left feeling great. And it made me realize how strong our teacher forum is, and definitely one of the most active in the state. So we've had a great fall and definitely have a lot going on for the rest of the school year. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Is there any discussion about the presentation? Any questions that y'all may have for her? Anyone?
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the third item agenda. Third item agenda is the 2019-2020 instructional calendar update. Mr. Dion Jackson, you are recognized.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Ingram, members of the board. Tonight we have a brief update on the instructional calendar, the 2019-20 instructional calendar. Just a quick reminder, overview of some of the requirements. These are requirements by the state. We must have 10 professional development / work days. 3 of those days can be used for teacher prep for back to school. 3 days are for professional development, and 5 days can be used for planning and teacher conferences. A combination of. We must start no sooner than the 3rd Monday in August. This year, in 2019, that puts us at August 19th, and we must include at least 3 inclement weather makeup days for the instructional calendar. The committee members this year comprised of 9 members, including principals, 3 principals representing elementary, middle, and high school, the same for teachers representing elementary, middle, and high school, and district level personnel, including myself. We'll go over the members on the next slide. The committee members began meeting in November of 2018 in person and through email correspondence. Information that we discussed in email and in person shared with teachers and administrators throughout the process. This is a quick glance at the committee members. As you see, principals representing elementary, middle, and high school, as well as teachers representing elementary, middle, and high school. The teachers were selected by teacher forum, and the principals were selected by their respective PLC groups, the elementary, middle, and high PLC groups, as well as Dr. Gelman is on there, as well as Sharon Snyder. I am on there as well. I kind of serve as facilitator. All right, so during this process, we discussed the strengths and opportunities for improvement that we have with our current calendar, what we liked, what we felt we needed to improve. A survey was administered to teachers and staff. We'll talk about that a little bit more because it ended up being 2 surveys. And then we shared the instructional calendar drafts with principals, district administrators, teacher forum, and various district leaders in order to obtain feedback. So as I alluded to, 2 surveys were actually administered. The first time around, we sent it out to all teachers. It kind of focused on 2 survey items. The 2 items were in regards to the length of first semester. And then the second item was in regards to the number of late arrival days that we have at the high school and early dismissal days that we have at the elementary and middle school levels. For the second question, everyone was in favor of decreasing the frequency of the late arrivals and early dismissals. That was less of an issue. For the first question, it was kind of all over the place. 38% were not in favor of, the question was, are you in favor of extending first semester into January? 38% responded no, 32% responded yes, 30% were indifferent. The issue with that is it went to all teachers, so the elementary teachers and the middle school teachers, it's
some of
less
them
of an
don't
issue.
care.
Right. Elementary and middle school teachers, it's less of an issue. Their core classes are year-round anyway, where the semester break's really not an issue to them. The high school teachers, it's more consequential due to the fact that we're on a modified block schedule. So we administered another survey. That's where the 398 came in. That survey went to high school teachers, had two questions. Which school you teach at? We made it clear it's for high school teachers. What school do you teach at? And are you in favor of extending the semester? 48% said no. 39% said yes, 12% were indifferent. However, the Office of Communications helped us disseminate this survey, both surveys, started getting feedback that folks were not really, they didn't understand the question. They were under the impression we were proposing an extension of the current year, the current semester, so first semester of this year into January, and no, that would not be a very popular thing. They actually asked for more information about the drafts. They wanted to see, the various drafts, the drafts that the board received. They wanted to see all four and wanted to know the differences in all four. So that's kind of the process that we're in now, and we're still getting some feedback. So some of the major differences in the calendars that you all received, as I said, you received 4. So options 1 and 3, that's where it's kind of like we have it now. First semester ends December 20th, and the first semester contains 85 days. And I guess I need to go back and explain why there are differences and why we're even discussing it. For the past, I want to say 4 or 5 years, we've used all of our weather days in first semester, be it hurricanes, floods, threat of hurricanes, etc. And in those semesters, in those years, first semester is shorter than second semester. So first semester contains 85 days, second semester is going to contain 95 days. I think we have one weather day in first semester. The remaining 2 fall in second semester. So those are additional days that are added to second semester. So that's where it came in to discuss a possible extension of first semester. At any rate, options 1 and 3, December 20th is the last day of first semester. It's a 3-day fall break, and the last day for students is on June 2nd. Options 2 and 4, first semester ends January 16th. There's 91 days in first semester, 5 days for fall break, and the last day for students is on June 5th. Both calendars, if you had an opportunity to review the calendars in full, both calendars, all 4 calendar options utilize teacher work days for weather days. However, if you look closely, it's a recommendation that there's a half work day, half instructional day to be supplemented by the technology ability that we have.
Have we done any surveys of parents? Because I know when I first came on the board, the first semester for high school students ending before Christmas was something I heard about a lot from parents, not having their kids study over Christmas break, or being out of school 2 weeks and then come back and taking finals or end of course test. I got a ton of feedback on that, so I don't know if that's still valid. My kiddo will be in high school. And I'm thinking, I don't I don't want to spend Christmas writing papers and preparing for finals. But that's only thinking about the high school piece. So I don't know if we have some options to maybe put out some surveys to parents as we're going through the feedback process. But
yes, that's not a problem. The surveys are relatively easy to generate now and get out to whatever your target audience is. So I'm sure the Office of Communications will help me. Where's Katie?
And even from the
Brian?
standpoint of little kids, it's happier if you have to take off and you have to take care of your kids, if you're taking care of them before Christmas than after Christmas, just as far as speaking to the younger ones.
yeah. I know we had a teacher who really, brought the concern of the weather makeup days. And I know it's happened multiple years in a row, but it's been some extraordinary, not normal stuff. I mean, at some point in time, it has to go more back to normal.
I certainly hope it goes back to normal.
It has to go more back to normal. It's your fault since you got here.
Yeah.
No, it's been the whole every year that I've been on the board.
It's been about five years in a row.
I would say I've been on the board 4 years. Every single year we've used every single one.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a problem, Sally.
it's me.
So we can get a survey out to parents and to see to gauge their opinion of the extension of first semester prior to finalizing on a couple of calendars and putting those out.
I just feel like you take 2 weeks off and then you go back for 2 weeks to take end of course tests and stuff like that. I mean, it's just hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do. I'd rather press right up till Christmas break and be footloose and fancy free over Christmas, but that's just one person's opinion. So
Absolutely, we'll get that done. So for the rest of the process, we'll get those surveys out. Then the instructional calendar drafts will be up for display. We'll send them out. We'll put them up on the website. And we'll continue to receive feedback. I was hopeful that a recommendation can be made to the board by the January 15th meeting. I mean, it's I think we're good. I think we can still make that target date. And then after that, we will present a draft for the 2020-2021 instructional calendar. Once we have an idea of what the structure should look like for the 1920 calendar, we'll come back with a 2021 calendar for consideration.
thank you.
We have any questions?
Thank you, Dion.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is there any discussion, any further discussion? Okay. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this committee meeting so that the Finance and Human Resources Committee meeting can begin.
So moved.
Second, meeting is adjourned.
Finance and Human Resources.
I'm calling the Committee on Finance and Human Resources to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present, and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. Our first agenda item is second reading to revise policy JCDA-R- Student Behavior Code. Dr. Karen Whitley, you are recognized.
Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Superintendent Ingram, and board members. We are asking for second reading approval to revise policy JCDA-R Student Behavior Code. On page 3, we are requesting that, but not limited to, and vapor pens and jewel devices be added for further clarification of policy. These actions are a result of input from our administrators. Are there any questions?
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve the second and final reading for revision of policy JCDA-R Student Behavior Code.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those who are opposed respond by saying nay. The motion is approved by a vote of 3-0.
I wasn't supposed to vote on that, was I?
Don't worry.
That's all right.
No worries. We good.
We didn't count it.
We didn't count you.
Yeah. You'll get your chance later.
I'd just love to say aye. Okay.
The second agenda item is the second reading to revise policy IHA-R, grading assessment systems. Dr. Whitley, you are recognized again.
Thank you. We are asking for second reading approval to revise policy IHA-R, grading assessment systems. These actions will reflect the correct language as to how GPAs are to be calculated. In September of 2017, the State Department changed the GPA calculation from not being rounded to being rounded to the third decimal. What the district currently has is computations will not be rounded to a higher number. The language has been changed to computations will be rounded to the third decimal place as outlined in the state's uniform grading policy. Are there any questions?
What is the pleasure of the committee?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve second and final reading for revised policy IHA-R, grading assessment system.
Second. Do we have any discussion? We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those who are opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 3-0. Third agenda item is second reading to revise policy IFBDB, distance, online, and virtual education. Dr. Whitley, you are recognized again.
Thank you. We are asking for second reading approval to revise policy IFBDB, distance, online, and virtual education. On the first page of the policy, we are requesting to add a line to the virtual South Carolina VCS policies and guidelines. They will also for further clarification to the policy. The revisions are to ensure that our guidelines and practices align with virtual South Carolina. We are a virtual learning franchise which requires us to operate within the same guidelines and practices as virtual South Carolina. This increases the integrity of our program. Are there any questions?
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve the second and final reading for the revision to policy IFBDB, distance, online, and virtual education.
Second. Span. Do we have any further discussion? We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 3-0. Fourth agenda item is the first reading to revise policy IHFAA Honors Certificate. Dr. Whitley, you are recognized again.
Thank you. We are asking for first reading approval to revise policy IHFAA Honor Certificate. Historically, Berkeley County School District students could earn an honors certificate through policy IHFAA since there was no state-level recognition of honors students. Now the state has created a South Carolina Academic Honors Award. Through the class of 2021 has been added to the first line. This local honor certificate option will be removed for the class of 2022 and beyond with the implementation of the South Carolina Academic Honors Award has been added to the policy. Are there any questions?
What is the pleasure of the committee?
Motion to approve first reading to revise policy IHFAA honor certificates.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wofford. Do we have any discussion? We would now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 3-0. The fifth agenda item is first reading to revise policy IHC, rank and class, honor graduates and graduation ceremonies. Dr. Whitley, you're recognized again.
Thank you. The state has implemented the South Carolina Employment Credential for Non-Diploma Track students. The board has passed the policy recommended by the state to institute this for the class of 2022 and beyond. We are asking for revisions in IHC and IHE to align wording with the new South Carolina Employment Credential. We're asking for first reading approval to revise IHC ranking class, honor graduates, and graduation ceremonies. The BCSD Bridges Credential, students in the special education program who have completed the requirements of the BCSD Bridges program. This program will end with the class of 2021, and South Carolina Employment Credential students in the special education program who have completed the requirements for the South Carolina Employability Credential. The credential begins with the class of 2022, has been added under the categories for students participating in graduation and commencement ceremonies. Are there any questions?
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve first reading to revise policy IHC ranking class, honor graduates, and graduation ceremonies.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those who are opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 3-0. Our sixth agenda item is first reading to revise policy IHE, promotion, retention, and acceleration of students. Dr. Whitley, you're recognized again.
Thank you. We are asking for first reading approval to revise policy IHE, promotion, retention, and acceleration of students. On the last page of the policy, or BCSD Bridges Credential, beginning with the class of 2022, the South Carolina Employment Credential will be an option in lieu of the BCSD Bridges Credential. Are there any questions?
What is the pleasure of the committee?
Motion to approve first readings for revised policy IHE, promotion, retention, and acceleration of students.
Second. Do we have any further discussion? We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. All those who are opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 3-0. Our seventh agenda item is 2018-2019 salary book revisions. Dr. Whitley, you are recognized.
Thank you. We are presenting the approved BCSD 2018-19 salary book for revision. The following revisions are requested. Page 3, adding 2 sections to the wage salary book, clinicians and education specialist, and, it should be 1 section. Page 15, section addressing compensation of clinicians and education specialists was added. Page 17, corrected interim principal, assistant principal to substitute. On page 20, under the incentive pay section, the additional pay for football playoffs will continue to be based on 70 days for assistant coaches and will be based on 105 days for the head coach. Are there any questions?
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve the 2018-19 salary book revisions recommended by administration.
Second. We have any discussion? We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those who are opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Whitley. The eighth agenda item is a request to allow multi-term contracts for school yearbooks, athletic branding, spirit shops, class rings, and graduation regala. Ashley Smith, you are recognized.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Dr. Ingram, and members of the board. This item on the agenda is to request to allow multi-term contracts for school yearbooks, athletic branding, spirit shops, class rings, and graduation regalia. Most schools within the district utilize Jostens Incorporated or Herff Jones for their annual yearbooks, class rings, and graduation regalia. Each company offers unique preferred customer benefits when schools agree to enter into a multi-year contract. The benefits can be found on the documents that were previously uploaded onto Board Docs. Jostens requires a 3-year commitment for preferred status, and Herff Jones requires a 4-year contract to receive their VIP benefits. Herff Jones includes exclusive rights to athletic branding through their BSN division, which is a contract vendor with Berkeley County School District for athletic uniforms and athletic and physical education equipment. The funding for these purchases is primarily from activity revenue. To optimize the partnership with these companies and to qualify for the additional benefits, several schools have asked for the ability to enter into contracts for the required number of years. Therefore, procurement is asking for school board's approval to allow multi-year terms for these contracts upon procurement's review and the superintendent's approval of each school's contract.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
Make a motion to grant authority for procurement to review and a superintendent to approve multi-year contract for the minimum numbers of years required to activity additional preferred status not to exceed 4 years for all school yearbook, athletic branding, spirit shop class rings, regalia purchases, and activity revenue.
Second.
I do want to just make a general statement. Sometimes when people think they have us, they think they have us, and they give us really, really undesirable service, BSN, and it's not cool. So I'm okay with us entering into multi-year contracts, but I do not want someone to hold us hostage and take our money and not deliver our stuff on time. Or go the whole volleyball season and now you get volleyball shoes or shorts. Well, that's super helpful, except we already played all the volleyball that there is to play. Same thing with shirts and other things. So I'm okay with having multi-year contracts, but if people aren't living up to their end of the bargain, I want to make sure that however we negotiated, it says if you don't deliver, we can get out, because I do not want people to hold us hostage and think they have our money so they can give us cruddy service. So that's my little soapbox for today. I'll try to get off. But people spend a lot of money on volleyball shoes or volleyball shorts, then they don't get them. They have to go buy other clothes. And then when they come in after the season, now you have 2 sets of things that aren't useful. So I just want our vendors to live up to their part of the bargain, which is the only thing that makes me a little concerned about multi-year contracts. But I just want to make sure we can get out if we need to.
Understood.
I agree.
We would now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those who are opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 3-0. The 9th agenda item is out-of-state travel. Ms. Smith, you are recognized again.
Thank you. Administration is requesting a motion to approve the out-of-state travel as presented.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve the out-of-state travel request as presented to the board.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? We would now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those who oppose respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 3-0. The 10th agenda item is the monthly financial update. Ms. Smith.
Thank you. For this portion of the agenda, I will be providing the financial update through October 31st, 2018. In the district's general fund budget, we received $12.9 million in the month of October, bringing us to a year-to-date of $49 million in revenues. Our expenditures year-to-date in the general fund are $69 million. At this time of the year, it is typical to see higher expenditures than revenues, and our tax revenues will significantly increase in the months of December and January. In the Special Revenue Fund, we have received $2.8 million year-to-date and have $5.6 million in year-to-date expenditures. In the EIA budget, we received $1.4 million during the month of October and have received $8.8 million year-to-date. We have expended $3.5 million year-to-date, with the majority spent in salaries and benefits. Our capital funds budget includes the proceeds from the bond issuance in September of $11.8 million for new capital projects, as well as the $2.3 million in carry forward from the 17-18 projects that have not been completed to date. We spent $429,000 during the month of October on capital projects, bringing us to $1.87 million year to date. The bond revenue consists of the September bond issuance of $8.7 million, as well as the carryover from the 17-18 funds. We spent $4.4 million in the month of October, bringing us to a total of $9.9 million year to date, and we have $7.2 million encumbered. The child nutrition budget has received $4.4 million year to date in mostly federal sources and has a total year to date expenditure of $4.1 million, with the majority of funds spent in supplies for our school cafeterias. All budgets presented this evening are in good standing as of October 31st, 2018.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Do we have any questions?
No, thank you, and thank you for your work on the pay increases.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Thanks.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn so that the Facilities and Capital Planning Committee meeting can begin.
So move.
Second. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. We are adjourned.
I am calling the Committee on Facility and Capital Planning to order. I declare there is a quorum of the committee members present, and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. First on the agenda is the facility planning update. Dr. Parker, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Berkeley County Board. You know, sitting back here and watching this meeting and deviate from my presentation a little bit, I'm so impressed with the quality of this board and your commitment to do what is right for Berkeley County. I hope that the citizens of Berkeley County truly appreciate your efforts and your hard work. And that's coming from someone that has seen you go through tremendous challenges and obstacles in getting to where you are today. And you have done a outstanding job, Madam Chair and our Chairman of the Facility Committee. What I want to do for you tonight is to review our facility plan. We have given you an updated plan that what we had promised you in the beginning is on a quarterly basis. The updated plan, it represents the 45-day numbers, and I'm going to start out with that in the beginning and cover a few things with you on this. One of the things that we saw early on in trying to present this to the public was that the information contained here had some safety issues that brought concerns from many of us. And so what we have done is we have redacted the information as far as the floor plans of all the schools, and this particular plan reflects that and can be for public consumption. The changes that we have gone through since the first plan was presented to the board primarily relate to the cost lab numbers and also information regarding the number of students in the individual schools. I want to point out one thing to you that I think is extremely important, and it's this document that's in the plan. If you will, let me go back. If you will look at this number, since 1980 to the present, the district has spent $1.3 million to $1.6 million in annual capital improvements within the budget. Now, board members, this number is not enough money to cover the maintenance and the needs that you have in your facilities. Now, if you look at the number of schools that we had in 1980 compared to the present, you've added additional schools. You've got more requirements as far as the upkeep of these schools, and you really have to do a better job on providing the funding for this upkeep. And I think it's important to keep that in the forefront of our thinking and looking ahead to the future. Now, the other changes here in the document is going to be related to the information with the individual schools. And let me get to it just quickly. All right. If somebody can assist me in getting back to the original document here. What have we done, Penny? Cliff, you got me? There you go. Okay. Great. Thank you, Cliff. The cost lab information that you're going to see here is really important to note. And this is the Berkeley Alternative School, but you'll have this on every one of the schools. And in the top right-hand corner, right up here, you're going to have information each year on the cost of the maintenance of your schools. Now, anywhere you have a spike in this number, the example here and here, they're going to be major expenditures. And in a lot of cases, what we have found is deferred maintenance is where this comes into play. If you don't put enough money into the maintenance of the facilities and you defer that to the next year, you're going to have major problems, and eventually it's going to be a catch-up.
You just keep kicking the can down the road.
You can't keep kicking the can down the road. That's right, Madam Chair. But I think it's critical that you look at this and you understand it with all of the schools. And I want you to see a high school as well. And this one is Berkeley High School. It's really important to note what this looks like at a high school. Now, your numbers in the legend here are going to be somewhat different. And you've got this report. I know you can't read it up there, but you've got this report in your board docs. And the numbers there, 5.2 million is the top number right up here. And 2 million is the bottom number. But I want you to look at the spikes you have all the way across. Now, if you're putting enough money into the maintenance, you're going to avoid many of those spikes. And I think it's important that we understand that. And I'm spending the time there to emphasize that point. Any questions on this particular document?
Tony, I think it'd be important to point out that, as we talked about earlier, a lot of the spikes, they represent with the end of a life cycle of a major expenditure, like a roof, HVAC system, plumbing, those kinds of things.
That's exactly right.
And what we don't want to do, that I've seen in other districts, quite frankly, is that we're like the little boy sticking his finger in the dike, moving our buckets, trying to catch water. But I want everybody to understand a roof's $1 million. I mean, it's not a quick fix. And when we've had this low of a budget on capital maintenance projects over 30 years, it takes its toll. And I would commend James and the maintenance folks because this district, quite frankly, I was really impressed with the facilities when I first got here. I can't say that about every other place I've been, but we're getting to the point that if you don't make some tough decisions, we are going to start kicking things down the road and then kind of always playing catch up. Is that right? Is that accurate?
That's exactly right. The other changes that we made is right here in looking at our numbers. We've broken the numbers out in each school by grade levels. Gives you additional information that I think is valuable in looking at your future and what you want to do in the schools as board members. Again, this document is for public consumption, to be released to the public so they can understand some of the decisions that you're faced with. And these are in a high growth area. These are pretty tough decisions to make. As I said, meeting the challenges of growth is a tremendous challenge, and I commend the board in facing up to the challenge and making tough decisions. In reviewing our facility study, we talked at length about your long-range planning. Committing to a facility plan that took us a year to complete, I think, was a tremendous effort on the part of this board and certainly on the part of the staff. You've got the master facility plan that gives you a direction. The establishment of a construction department within your staff was a major step, and we've gotten that achieved. Looking at data updates that you're going to be reviewing on a quarterly basis, tremendous effort. And the development of a strategic plan in moving forward as to what you can do in focusing on your facilities in the district. Short-range actions and options. Maximize full utilization of the high school buildings. We did that. We looked at the high school facilities based on the 4x4 scheduling, and we've tried to maximize the use of the facilities. There's still work to be done there. Address utilization of facilities by adjusting school boundaries. Now, this is one that does not require expenditures, but it requires a great deal of give and take on the part of the board and the public as a whole. And I'm going to go over some recommended options for you to look at as far as moving forward.
What you mean by school boundaries?
That's adjusting your school districts, your individual school districts, to look at the growth, and where you have overcrowded schools, shifting the numbers to underutilized schools. Evaluate the use of outdated buildings on various campuses, and determining whether or not they should be demolished or not is critical. Evaluate the use of temporary classrooms, mobile classrooms, eliminate the use of mobile classrooms that are not needed. Demolish or dispose of these outdated units where possible. If you don't need the mobile units on a campus, there's no need in putting an expenditure out there for the utilities. And if we need to remove them, we need to remove them. Some of these mobile units are extremely old, and they don't need to be in service. That's an effort that we've been going through for the last year. Still some work to do there. Mid-range options, determine viable funding sources as far as your maintenance and looking at how you're going to pay for needed maintenance in the district, paying for renovations and those kind of things. In our original presentation, I recommended a review of impact fees. Again, I'm recommending that to the board, and the superintendent, I've talked about this at length. Impact fees has a way of helping you to address your facility needs in the district, more immediate facility needs. Address preventive maintenance, building demolitions and renovations based on quality information, evaluating purchase land for future school sites based on quality information. You got to have the best information, and you got to evaluate whether or not land is acceptable to move forward.
Right. We had a piece of free land that we paid $1.2 million to remediate. That's a gift that I can do without. We could have bought better land for less outright. So we have to flip that conversation. But Tony's team has developed a good rubric for evaluating land. And in previous districts that I've worked in, sometimes we wouldn't get our first choice. Sometimes we'd get our third or fourth choice for a land site, but it was good land that we didn't have to put a lot of money in remediating.
Upgrade the school district facilities department through an influx of money to address the needs there and be competitive within the market. Develop educational specification guidelines, the Berkeley County Ed Specs Manual, which outlines what we accept, what we don't accept. If you develop your ed specs right, then the architect will develop your prototype right. But that's something that needs to be addressed for new school construction and for renovations. Now, let me emphasize that impact fees, this board does not have the authority to approve impact fees. That is within county government. But it has to come through a recommendation of the Board of Education.
When you say impact fee, Dr. Parker, you're speaking in reference to new homes, or?
I'm speaking in reference to new homes being built. And new homes and multifamily homes being built in the district. That's correct.
Just trying to come up with a way for the people who are actually moving into the district to
contribute
to put in on it.
Right.
And we have a beautiful place to live in Berkeley County,
Right.
but it's also one of the least expensive places to build your house or build your apartment complex, which puts a lot of burden on our schools and our infrastructure.
And I've seen this work really well in other districts that I have worked with. And basically what it does, the new people moving in that are putting an impact on your infrastructure, it allows them to pay a little more money in order to live in this district.
So county council needs a recommendation from us? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they need the ask. We can raise millage, but we can't do impact fees. So we would have to ask, probably pass a resolution from the board. That would be a request to county council.
So that's something we're going to work on. Then.
I would recommend that you do that.
We would potentially try to do a partnership with them because they have a lot of needs as well. And the county used to have impact fees, but they got rid of them. And it's quite uncommon for a county not to have impact fees in some shape or form on new construction. So we're not asking for anything that's not completely typical and normal in most places.
With the number of people coming in, then I think that should be one of our top priorities then.
Exactly, and that's that's the whole key, is we're not looking to say we're going to get impact fees on any existing people that are already here. What we're saying is, if you want to come into Berkeley County and you want to build all these homes and we have to build all these new schools, well, it's just reasonable that you help us pay for it.
I don't know where the impact fees went, but I paid an impact fee 9 years ago when I built a house. It was a road impact fee. I don't know if they ever built the road that they said they were going to build with the impact fee, but we will definitely build the schools that we say we're going to build with the impact fee.
Which this study gives us a ton of credibility, because when we go and ask for it, we can say, well, we're not just asking some pie in the sky. We need 15 schools. What we can say is, here's the numbers, here what we got, this is our need. So we can give concrete data and be completely transparent. And that's why it's a no-brainer.
These are mid-range options, and impact fees are not going to build you new schools, but they will certainly help you with renovations and with maintenance of your current schools. Long-range options determine viable funding sources for new school construction, and I recommend this to you in the beginning, is look into sales tax and address a 1 cent sales tax to build new schools. Now, you can't do this either, but then again, it's going to require a resolution from this board to address your elected representatives in the legislature to take this to fruition. And this is something that I believe that Berkeley County needs. This would implement a site selection process to determine the best land for school construction and the most cost-effective land for school construction, as the superintendent mentioned. Address new school construction based on quality information designed to focus on growth in a positive and planned manner. You want to keep an aligned feeder system within your district. You want to focus on the needs of the students. If you plan properly, you'll be able to do that. Develop, and this is number 4, develop prototype models for elementary, middle, and high schools. Prototype models that the Board of Education owns, not the architect owns the model. You want to own your prototype models, and negotiations with the architects will allow you to do that. And you can save quite a bit of money in so doing. Let me go back to the short-term list. And in number 2, address the utilization of facilities by adjusting school boundaries. And I'm going to give you a couple of proposals in doing that. Actually, 3. The first one is dealing with the elementary level, and it primarily focuses on Cane Bay Elementary School. Now, I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger where you can see it a little better. And I know the color is hard to see. Cane Bay, and if you can hear me okay over here, I want to walk over here. Brian, am I going to mess up this camera? I don't know if you can see it or not, but you have a grid right here. This is the Cane Bay district up here. And you have a grid along here. This is 17 here, and this is Carnes Crossing development right in here. What we would propose to the option in addressing the overcrowded conditions at Cane Bay Elementary School is to redistrict this area of the Cane Bay district into the Devon Forest attendance area. And that's what I was referring to as far as the adjusting some of your district lines to take care of the overcrowded conditions in the most crowded schools that you have. But this area, and it primarily impacts Carnes Crossing. Over here, you've got the number of students that it's going to impact. If all of the students, K4 students, were impacted today there, it would be 72 students that you would pull out of Cane Bay Elementary and put into Devon Forest. Devon Forest has space available. Cane Bay does not.
What's the distance from Devon Forest to that location?
Good question. The distance between the schools, you don't have any real difference as far as the distance that these students would travel from here to Devon Forest. There's no significant difference. Here, you're going up to Cane Bay in this area. And we rode those, went out there and rode the neighborhoods, looked at the distance between the neighborhoods and the two schools. Now, we're recommending this as an option. This is not a cure for the problems that you're faced with as far as growth, but the immediate option, and an option that doesn't cost the board or the taxpayers anything, is to look at where you can take advantage of schools that are underutilized and reduce the impact on the overcrowded schools.
Yeah, I think this may be a shorter term solution to some of our problems that we're facing as far as growth goes. And I've taken a look at some of our schools that are underutilized, and I think it's a good option for us to explore this possibility.
I think it buys you a little time because, like Tony said, it's not going to fix it because we're growing, 1,000 kids this year from last year. That's a bunch. And we're going to get an economic slowdown at some point. We don't know exactly when. We're starting to see some signs of that potentially now, but we're not sure yet. It's too early. But it takes about 3 years to build a school from the time you decide to build it, because it stays a year in design, and then it can take 3 years or 2.5, 3 years. Sometimes people, but you got to get site selection and all these kinds of things. And I know moving boundaries unnerves people, but to be honest, if you build a new school, you're going to have to move people anyway.
And my thoughts are, we really don't have a choice. Cane Bay's exploding at the seams.
Right.
But secondly, this area where we would be moving some of these children from, if it continues to grow, that's going to be another area where we're going to need another elementary school. Right. So even though we're changing lines, more changes are going to come in the future, again, because we have no choice.
Dr. Parker, it seemed like we're going to have to monitor and adjust from year to year, it looked like to me. So,
well, the one thing you don't want to do, and one reason the board agreed to hire Mike Miller, is to look at growth and plan for growth and look at options that you have available. Now, one thing you do not want to do is you don't want to move the same kids every year. If you make this move, then you're committing to this move for a period of time to where these students are out of that grade level. And I think it's really important to understand that, because you don't want to just have the same group of students moving every year. So you got to look at these as options to take care of an immediate problem that you have, or immediate challenge. I wouldn't say it's a problem with growth. I'd much rather have the growth than not have it. But you got to make some decisions. And the other part of this And I think this is something that a lot of people may miss, is that this Board of Education has committed to deal with growth. And listen, I commend you for that. You're facing up to the fast-growing situation that you have here. And you're looking at options to address it. You've got short-term, you got midterm options, you got long-term options. And you're focusing on all these areas at one time. These things, as far as district lines and adjustment of district lines, this is a short-term fix to a long-term issue that you're going to be faced with. And we have looked at a lot of the challenges as far as making this decision, but there are still, you still got the parents out there that I'm sure would want to have some input on this, and I know that you will give them that and review all of the issues that are brought up to you. But there's got to be some action as far as what you're going to do for the future. All right, now this is one option that we're presenting to you. We have two others. The second option is dealing with, and this is the middle school, and this is relatively simple because it follows suit with the elementary recommendation that we made. The students, middle school students that live in Carnes Crossing, and the area is in the grid right here, if you can see the arrow. It's this grid right here. It would pull that same area out of Cane Bay Middle, and it would put them in College Park Middle School. And it would reduce some of the overcrowded conditions that you have at Cane Bay, and you've got plenty of space at College Park to accept these students.
Same question, Dr. Park. What's the distance between College Park and Cane Bay Middle?
There's no significant difference between the two, and we looked at that as well. No significant difference between the two. Now, you will recall, in the 5-year plan, we recommended building 2 middle schools and an elementary school within that 5-year plan. The middle school is going to be built, it should be built close to where the current location for Nexton is. And that's going to give you some relief there. But, you got to look at how do you make some adjustments prior to building and finalizing the construction of that school. All right, the most important, I believe, recommendation that we're going to present to you is dealing with the high school issue. And the high school situation is pretty critical when you look at what you're faced with at Cane Bay High School as far as overcrowded. And when you think about the cost of a high school, it costs a lot more to build a high school than any other school. And the longer that you can delay building another high school, I think the better off financially you're going to be when eventually you have to build that high school. Because there are a lot of things that have to take place between now and the time that you want to build that high school. What we would recommend to the board as an option is to, if you look at the grid right here and it goes down into this area, these students, this is the Cane Bay district here in the green. And I had our PIO say this was an ocean color there, so I'll accept that from her. This is the ocean green, and that's Stratford District. The grid area here would be pulled out of Cane Bay High School and would be reassigned to Stratford High School. Now, what we would like to do is take the natural boundary of 17, which is the dark line here, and take all of those students and shift them to Stratford as a recommendation. But it was too many students. We couldn't do that. So we had to carve into it here.
How many students, high school students, are right there, Dr. Parker?
You would capture 485 students in 2018, 2019. In 2023-24, it'd be 584 students. And you have enough space at Stratford to accept those students.
And that's mainly the Sangaree neighborhood?
That's all Sangaree. Wow. That's right. Sangaree Middle School. These students,
which was traditionally in the past, they went to Stratford.
They went to Stratford.
So they might not be too disappointed.
Well, in all likelihood, probably not. We rode over in those areas and looked at all the area over there when we were considering the options. And they would be closer to Stratford than they actually would be to Cane Bay High School.
What's the population?
Seems to me like these are very common sense changes. I mean,
well,
looking at them, I mean, common sense tells us that, we have to do something, and these changes are using common sense. You're relocating students to schools that are still within a reasonable time distance from their homes. And it makes sense.
And you're also putting them in schools where the schools are underutilized. You have space available.
Exactly.
What's the capacity of Stratford right now?
Okay, hold on one second.
I believe it's about 2,100, 2,200, isn't it?
2,200, and they're...
You're right.
It's about 2,200.
Are they down to 17?
Hold on one second here.
1,700?
How many
They
are
have
there now?
seats.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Stratford's 2,400.
Wow.
Oh, they have lots of seats.
And they currently have
And currently they have 1,794. And if you look at Cane Bay High School, their capacity is 2,000, and they're at 2,041. So if you looked at it from the standpoint of a major issue at the high school level, you resolve your major issue at the high school level through this action. Now, again, there's going to be emotional thoughts, ideas coming from your communities, and knowing this board as I do, I know you'll listen to those and you'll consider those in making your decisions. But the fact remains that you've got a growth issue to deal with. You're gaining 1,000 students a year, and how do you deal with those numbers?
Now, will you be able to use the 17 corridor to separate that group, or do you have to cut through the community for the high school?
No, we couldn't use 17 there.
You have to go through the community. Okay.
Well, no, we didn't split a neighborhood.
Okay.
But we had to come in off of the 17 line. It would have been nice to have used that natural boundary, but we were not able to do that.
So we're going to plan to do some community meetings. I don't see Katie. I'm sure that's Brian. That's what we're planning to do, is some community meetings.
That's what I would suggest to the board, and have community meetings, get input from the community. I think the district as a whole understands that this board has tough decisions to make. But, the options that you have, you're going to have to look at, and I'll refer to this as low-hanging fruit. What can you do that's not going to cost the district, and it makes sense? And what are you going to be able to do that's going to require impact fees? It's going to require sales tax. I think these are critical decisions, and I would take them to the communities that are going to be impacted and let them respond to your thoughts as far as the way that you believe you need to address growth.
It just seems irresponsible to have one school overfilled and a school literally that's no distance, difference in distance. have seats available, to not try to come up with some reasonable.
And again, remember, the issue is the growth is continuing. So this isn't even just so we can solve the problem just for today. This is trying to survive for the next year and the year after that until we can start getting some of these schools built that we need to get built.
You're going to have additional challenges.
Tony, I see that number. I can't quite read it so far away. 42,000, somewhere in there. Which what year will we be at under current projections? It will be at that number of students, if I'm reading that correctly.
The 42,000 you're looking at, that's in 28, 29. If you continue at the 1,000 students a year, you're going to reach there far quicker. Now, our projections are about 700 students a year in growth. But you remember what I told you, you're going to have spikes in growth. And I think you just started having the spikes this year. You're going to probably have additional spikes. The real concern is when those spikes hit 1,500, 2,000 students.
And I want the public to understand, we got 36,000 kids now. That's a school system. We're going to spawn another school system in just a few short years, and it's going to come fast. Faster than the only place I've seen even close to this fast was probably Johnston County, where Tony was at one time, in Wake County, and Wake slowed down. I don't know if Johnston has, but Wake has. But that's we're gonna birth another school system right here.
So when we ask for impact fees, I don't want to ask for $1,000. I want to ask for thousands of dollars. This is a good place to live. I want people to pay a premium to live in a great place and have good schools. But it's really hard to put the burden on the people who've lived here their entire life without putting some burden on the people who are moving into the county.
You got great people understand that you can build a house a lot cheaper, a lot nicer house, have a better quality of life building a house right here than you can in other places. They cost a lot more than it cost to build a house in Berkeley County. So you got a lot to offer here, and that's the reason a lot of people want to come. The last thing, a quote, "The will to succeed is important, but what's more important is the will to prepare." And I'm not a fan of Bobby Knight, but certainly Bobby used to prepare his teams.
I am.
And you folks, as a Board of Education, I think that you've done a remarkable job in facing your challenges and addressing the obstacles presented to you, and this is one of those obstacles. I admire you for what you're doing, and I think as the years go on, this public is going to be in debt to you for the decisions you make. These are options. You've got to consider the options that you believe are in the best interest of the school district and the citizens of this county, and make those decisions. If you want us to go back and look at others and refine what we have here, we got the capabilities of doing that. Now, this is probably, Dr. Ingram, probably the fourth, fifth rendition of what we're presenting to you tonight. We've looked at probably 5 or 6 options and 5 or 6 different scenarios as far as addressing growth. And this is the beginning. It's not going to end with this. But it certainly, you can take a big step forward by addressing it one step at a time.
And Mike, in my experience in previous districts with Mike Miller, he can drill this down as specifically as you want it to. Can he not, Tony? I know he did it for us, or Jeff Side did it for us in Franklin. But so you can really take a really good, hard, laser-like look at some of these places, and if you think that because you know everybody better than we do, you can say this will work better for this reason, this will work better for that. Mike can do that. Got to give him a little time. I mean, he can't do it in 20 minutes, but he can do it pretty quickly.
I would like to get the community input and then take that input and do the data analysis on what the community input is, because, they may know more about this particular neighborhood or that particular neighborhood historically. If they want to go to Stratford or stay at Cane Bay or whatever, get that, do those presentations to the community, get that input, and then see if it adjusts what we're suggesting, and if it does it meet the need?
Well, one of the things we looked at, and we rode out to Carnes Crossing, I don't know how many of you have been out there, but they've already cut roads all the way back through that area, and there's going to be a tremendous number of houses built in the Carnes Crossing development there. And you're going to have a lot more kids coming out of that area. But you're right. You need to get that information from the public, bring it back, and address it to us in looking at refining the option that you have here before any decision's made.
And the other thing I'd like to go back and get information on is when we made the decision with Philip Simmons and Hanahan, we had some set of guidelines about kids who were playing athletic sports, who had already started their eligibility and all that kind of stuff.
You're going to still need to have that in place.
I'd like to go back and look at that as well.
And one of the things with rising seniors, juniors, seniors, give them the option of staying. All of those you can apply to this as well. And I would recommend that to you. Yes, you need to look at that as options, yes.
Thank you, Dr. Parker,
Okay.
for a lot of information.
I guess that concludes my committee of facility and can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in
I make
favor?
a motion to adjourn.
Okay, second. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you. Madam Chair, turn it back over to you.
Excellent. We'll now entertain a motion to return to full committee.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Reverend Spann, a second by Ms. Condor to return to the full board meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. We're back in full board meeting. Because there's only one meeting this month, we'll have to go back and handle the committee items. So the next item on the agenda are the reports from the standing committees. First, a report from the Committee on Academics and Innovation, Chairwoman Ann Condor.
Give me 1 second here. Madam Chairman, I make a motion to approve the Head Start Budget Expenditures Report for October 2018 and Head Start Credit Card Report for October 2018.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Madam Chairman, I think that concludes my motions.
Excellent. Next is the Committee on Finance and Human Resources, Chairman Michael Ramsey.
Madam Chairwoman, the Committee on Finance and Human Resources met earlier this evening. On recommendation of the committee, I move to approve second and final reading to revise policy JCDA-R, Student Behavior Code.
We have recommendation from the committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve second and final reading to revise policy IHA-R, Grading Assessments Systems.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve second and final reading to revise policy IFBDB, distance, online, and virtual education.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve first reading to revise policy IHFAA, honors certificate.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve first reading to revise policy IHC, ranking class, honor graduates, and graduation ceremonies.
We have a recommendation from a committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve first reading to revise policy IHE, promotion, retention, and acceleration of students.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve 2018-2019 salary book revisions recommended by administration.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to grant authority to procurement to review and the superintendent to approve multi-year contracts for the minimum number of years required to activate additional preferred status, not to exceed 4 years, for all school yearbook, athletic branding, spirit shops, class rings, and regalia purchases for activity revenue.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? I just advise, please don't let us hold them hostage when they don't deliver. All right. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also, on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve out-of-state travel request as presented.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Madam Chairwoman, that concludes my report.
Wow, y'all did a lot of work. Agenda item, Lucky 13A. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Reverend Spann to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.